If you look at any news regarding politics, regarding finance, regarding money, regarding the job market, regarding investing, everything is gloomy. It seems as if the world is going to come to an end tomorrow. Like if next year we are all going to be back to 30 years ago in terms of economic, improvement, advancements, etc., etc. Why? Because everybody is focusing on recession. Everybody is talking about how inflation is bad, how inflation is high, how everything's gonna go back to zero, including cryptocurrency. Well, is it going to happen? Nobody knows, and that's my point. Nobody knows exactly what's going to happen in the future because no one, I don't care how expert, I don't care what tools, I don't care what, algorithmic futuristic AI data or tool you're using or platform you're using to identify trends, you just cannot know what is going to happen in the future. But if you look at some of the news, all right, if you look at some of the news, this is just Market Watch. And by looking at Market Watch, everything is kind of, stock market is not fully pricing a looming recession yet. This is from Morgan Stanley, all right? Dow ends nearly 650 points higher as stocks bounce back from worst week since 2020. Recession, millions of layoffs, mass unemployment. Larry Summers' forecast steers up a honest nest. Gas prices headed to $6 by Labor Day. Everything. Elon Musk joins the growing chorus fearing a U.S. recession. The economy is going to collapse, says Wall Street veteran Novogratz. We're going to go into a really fast recession. So these are experts, right? These are, strategists, Morgan Stanley, Elon Musk, billionaires. These are people that have influence. When they speak, people tend to listen. All right. And that's why it's adding to this huge layer of recession, of fears out there. Now, I want to bring us back a little bit back to 2020 when the pandemic hit. And then we had to go into lockdowns and then nobody was working. Lots of people lost their jobs. Lots of people closed their businesses, etc., etc. It was the exact same thing. It was the exact same situation. Everybody was gloomy and doomy. Everybody was talking about how, this is going to be worse than 1929. This is going to be worse than the worst ever we've seen so far. But you know what? 3 months after the stock market already recovered entirely of the losses caused by the pandemic. And from that point forward, we kept grinding. We kept going up. The market kept going up and gaining up until the end in January. So, because there is this whole recession out there, because there is this whole recession fears, inflation is going to be sticky, etc., etc. Well, how can you make sure you get a grasp on your money? How can you protect your money? How can you make sure you are preparing even though nobody knows exactly what is going to happen in the future? Better get prepared than sorry. Because if, let's say, we get into a recession, one of the main things happening within recession is people lose their jobs. And when you lose your job, it means you're also losing your primary income, especially if that is your sole source of income. If you don't have anything else, if you don't have another job, if you don't have, a business on the side, if you don't have any side hustle and you're depending entirely onto your main job as, your primary source of income, then you might be in trouble. Now, if you have something else in the side, giving you money, maybe a business, maybe something online, well, usually during a recession, things tend to slow down. Businesses, advertisement, investment, everything seems to slow down. So even though you have something on the side or a business, well, you are not totally recession proof. So how to prepare yourself so that you can be recession proof whether or not a recession happens? Well, first thing first, Interest rates are increasing significantly now because the Federal Reserve is trying to tame down, to bring down inflation. And in order to do so, they need to force people to stop buying stuff, they force people to stop consuming, because we consume a lot in the US based on credit. So if credit is a lot more expensive to maintain or even to get, it makes sense for people to stop getting some of these stuff that are gonna continue to push inflation and prices higher. So that's what they're doing. All right. Personally, I don't think this is the right thing to do, but it is what it is, right? So the first thing to do in order to get yourself recession proof, your finance recession proof, is make sure you get rid of any unnecessary debt. This is not the time to kind of impress people with big cars, with big dates, with big jewelry, big rims, or big houses. Why? Because if you are in the process of maybe getting some of these big purchases, then maybe it's the time to kind of step back a little bit, because you're going to be charged a lot more than 1 year ago. All right. Especially as we don't know if these interest rates are going to continue to increase going into 2023 and 2024. All right. So only based on that, make sure you stay out of debt. If you can pay off some of your consumer debt, like credit cards, auto loan, etc., this is the time to do so. If you are planning into getting a new car, if you're planning getting into a new house, maybe you need to shop around. Maybe you need to, if you can delay it, that will be a great thing, a great idea to do, a smart thing to do, because if prices go down, then you will be able to purchase and acquire those things at a bit of better price. So I was already out of debt since, the last 3 years, because I didn't want to be in a position where I'm paying somebody else the money I can use in order to build wealth and to be financially free in a couple of years down the road. The number two thing you need to do is to make sure you have a huge safety net. A safety net, because remember, what happens during recessions, people tend to lose their jobs and businesses tend to be slowing. So even though you have both of them, or you are in one of the two in order to have your primary income, one of the best way to do so, whether you are managing your personal finances or your business finances, you need to make sure you have a huge emergency fund. Usually we'll say 3 to 6 months of expenses, but I'm really trying to thrive to 12 months of income. Like, I want to be saving 12 months worth of income somewhere, so that by the time, if God forbids, if I find myself in a situation where I'm being laid off, I'm being let go by my company, then I don't have to worry. I don't have to worry about maintaining the same lifestyle I'm already living now while working. That's why I'm aiming for 12 months of income. But everybody else is not in the same boat or in the same capacity of having that set up, especially if you don't have any as of yet. So try to make sure you have at least 3 to 9 months of expenses worth of emergency fund. You just never know. So that's number 2. Number 3 is I will try to make sure I'm living off my income. Like, I'm living way below my needs, way below my means. I meant, like, if I'm making 5,000, 5 grand a month, I don't necessarily need to be spending that 5,000 a month on, bills, rent, whatever. Especially now that things are expensive and there is a lot of uncertainty about what is going to come in the next 6 to 12 months. So I want to be careful. I want to be conservative. I want to be really, really, really intentional about where my money is going. So my money is not going in unnecessary places, because money could be tight in the next coming months. All right. Gas prices are going to continue to increase, even though they pull back a little bit now. That is a fact. We've been talking a lot about that in this channel. So only that tells me that whenever gas prices are high, everything else should continue to remain high, unless we have something dramatically changing in the war in Ukraine and Russia. So, live below my means. This is what I'm doing. And then finally, I'm trying to make sure that I can have as much sources of income as possible. So right now I have, my job, right? My main job that is bringing in the money I'm using to pay my bills, and I'm continuing to save and invest, right? So that is an automatic, a kind of automatic pilot there. I don't even have to touch anything, but I also want to make sure I can increase my revenues in order to make sure my emergency fund, goes to, those 12 months worth of income instead of 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. All right. So I'm minimizing my expenses, but I'm also trying to improve and increase my revenues, my income, so that's why, I'm continuing to do, I have my side hustle that I do, on the side I should have said, but it's already a side hustle. So I'm trying to really make sure that I have as many income sources as possible. So I have my job, I have a side hustle, I have YouTube, and on top of this, I also have my passive income coming from investing. All right. So all of the dividends that I'm receiving from some of the companies that I'm holding on my brokerage account, then I'm also using that to make sure it comes and increase the money I'm already making based on those other three sources. So right now I think I'm averaging around 650 to 700 per month based on passive income from dividends. I've shared this with you a couple of months ago around my entire portfolio and how which stocks are giving me that 500 to 650 $700 per month worth of dividends. So the final thing, folks, the final thing you can do in order to make sure you're recession proof is to start investing right now, because you want to make sure you take advantage of these huge sales. Everything is on sale right now. Everything. It's not like 2 months ago where you have some stocks that were still expensive. Everything is now back to sale discount mode. So make sure you take advantage of those by putting your money where in the next 3 months, in the next 6 months, you will wish you bought more, because your future self will thank you for what you did now, because you will double, triple, even quadruple your money in some of these stocks. If you don't have any portfolio right now and you're just kind of lost, like I don't know where to start, hit the subscription, the link below in the description of the video, where I have one of the services where I can accompany you, I can give you some advice, I can consult with you in order to build that portfolio. All right. Now, if you don't know exactly where to start, if you don't know, or if you already started, if you don't know how to improve in order to be well positioned to start building wealth, and don't miss this generational wealth transfer we are experiencing right now, also link in the description below, you will see how to consult with me in order to audit your portfolio and see exactly how you can rebalance that for the short, medium, and long term. So this is what I'm doing, folks. This is what I've been doing so far. And the best thing about this is it doesn't even matter whether we get into a recession or no down the road, you will be in a way better financial situation than you were right now. So let me know.